I might take you up on that, actually.
You got a couple of, this is always known too, just saying, we'll just try to do a presentation first and then public comments. Taxation, staff presentation first and then on the agenda, flip over, no. So we got this consultant contract, we've got an additional one here.
All right, first item here, the awards and presentations. We do not have any of those this evening. The sixth item here is open.
Mayor?
Oh,
Number 4?
sorry. We need to approve tonight's agenda. So is anyone interested in making?
For the project. Ultimately, the Airport Commission recommended an extra fee scheduled to be paid by hangar owners. The City Council adopted it. The problem, it was a contract violation. Every year since 2016, the City of Forest Lake has been advised about a contract violation that occurred between the years of 2016 and 2020. Some people only paid for certain years. Their outstanding balances were removed. Those hangar owners who paid the extra fee for those 4 years were never repaid. The net effect is that the city has now charged certain hangar owners differently. That is a clear case of discrimination. Discrimination by municipalities is illegal. MnDOT Aeronautics has now offered a 90% grant to add 300 feet of
About 2018, we started a memory cafe in Hugo. And this past February, we partnered with the YMCA and are offering a group respite for individuals who have been diagnosed with any kind of a dementia diagnosis. And they meet every Tuesday from noon to 4 at the Y. And we have one that's working, we have one developed in Stillwater, and now we're branching up into Forest Lake because we see that the drive even down to Stillwater is even long. And so we, Family Means, are working with Gary and the ACT on offering dementia-friendly at-work trainings to get that education around dementia out into the public.
Okay, asked them why I'm getting taxed for storm sewer. Well, storm sewer for water runoff. I go, my water can't run off. And you guys goes, why? Because you guys filled in the ditch. It just lays on the ground. A couple years later, you guys came out and digged the ditch. I remember one time where the road between the two little lakes washed out. Forest Lake did their one side, Hugo didn't do their side. We got a neighbor that was changing the road grade, called up about that, and they said, and plowing our road, because there's only 2 people in Forest Lake that live on that side, and the other 3's on Hugo. And I came up to Forest Lake here, and you guys told me, you have a contract with Hugo, so I got to go talk to them. And I'm going, well, I pay my taxes in Forest Lake, not Hugo. And me and the other neighbor, my brother was a quadriplegic, so I always needed them roads clean quick, you know, after heavy snow. And usually I had to go there with my skid loader to make a path to get my van out of there if I had to take them anywhere. And I'm just saying, if I'm going to be taxed here in Forest Lake, I should get the same service that Forest Lake residents are getting, and I shouldn't have to go see why Hugo's not getting this road plow, but through manage we went from the township to the city. So I saw the taxes went up when it went for the city from the township. And be honest, frank, honest with you, I get less service now because it's the city of Forest Lake than it was the township, you know. And that's basically it, you know, because I'm just saying, I'm just getting tired of this area getting overlooked all the time. And maybe we can have it where the Forest Lake's responsible for that part of the road. I don't know, could you turn right off to the side of us all the time?
Sure.
Just
So-
want to get in the back of your heads that, hey, might be a little area that we might.
Is covering our costs on this, and so I would ask that that item simply reflect that the consultant contract will be with McDonald Hopkins and Arate, so there'll be 2 different contracts there.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, with that, anyone willing to make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 7A through 7Q.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have our consent agenda. All right, item 8A will be the beginning of our regular agenda. With the first item is a truth and taxation hearing, but we are going to have our finance director, Ellie Larkin, go through this year's budget.
Walk us through is both what the preliminary budget that was adopted, or the preliminary levy that you adopted in September, and then what our current proposal is, and that's based on all the workshops we've had and some of the discussions we've had since September to, in an effort to lower that final levy, reminding us all that the preliminary levy sets the high bar, so we cannot go above that tonight. We can only lower that amount. So again, you'll see two presentations or two scenarios tonight. You'll see the 12.59% that was adopted in September, and you'll see the kind of current staff and council proposal at 7.9%. So what everyone's mailing was based on was the 12.59. So if, as the gentleman mentioned earlier, he had a dollar amount that he saw on a statement, that is what was, that number was based off the September number. So from there, I'll let Ellie take it over.
Great, thanks.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and citizens of Forest Lake. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ellie Larkin. I am the finance director here with the city. As Mark mentioned, some of the things we will be going through tonight are requirements by the state, and that will include a summary of the 2026 budget, a proposed levy, and then provide an opportunity for public comment. This comment will happen once the presentation is completed. So as our citizens walked in, you received a packet that really walked through in detail the budget timeline. And so with the creation of a budget, the council adopts a schedule in April. And so through that, there has been numerous meetings, numerous guidance provided from both council and residents about where they would like the direction of the budget to go to. We sought input through workshops and meetings, along with opening up a budget survey to the public. A bulk of those survey responses talked a lot about how public safety is a top priority for our community. And
Just to be clear, that bullet there that says yearly home average value increase, that's the increase in taxes on the average value home. So that's not the increase of the value of the home, that's the value, or that's the increase in taxes on that home, just to be clear about that.
And then when we look at it as our proposed levy at 7.9%, the average home value increase for the portion of property taxes you would pay would be $102.84, or a monthly increase of $8.57. And so as we looked at those two slides, you saw that those charts had a couple different items of what was included and what wasn't included. And to start the levy, we started at that 12.59%, and this included a deputy fire chief, a patrol sergeant, 2 additional patrol officers, a police admin assistant, and a public works position, along with standard increases to election, inflation, and to support our North Shore Trail bond. The city sees inflation a lot like all of our residents do, so that inflation comes with utilities and just the standard cost of doing business. The things that really then start to play in what offsets the levy would be that general presented and received feedback on was a levy set at 12.25%. And through conversation, the biggest change here is the removal of the patrol sergeant. This is not removing a sergeant that is currently in place, however, just not adding an additional one. This also includes keeping the deputy fire chief, our patrol officers, a police admin assistant, along with the public works position, our standard expenses, and then this also reflects an increase to franchise fees to offset the cost of the general levy. And then as we continue to work our way through our chart, you will see that those check marks turn into half circles with an asterisk, for lack of a better description. That reflects staff, those new positions starting February 1st versus starting 1/1. And this then allows us to not have to pay the cost of the staff for the entire year, allowing us to have additional cost savings. And then as we continue to work through the chart, you will see the bottom 2 line items are labeled as rollback capital equipment fund and use of the 2025 surplus to offset the levy. With both of these options included, we are able to bring the levy down to 7.9%, with the surplus of the 2025 budget offsetting the cost of the 2026 budget. So where does that tax levy go? And so when we break it down, we see that 36% of your tax levy goes to support public safety. This includes police, fire, and building inspections. Forest Lake Fire Department receives 500 calls a year. Our police department takes roughly 20,000 calls a year, and buildings conduct approximately 3,500 reviews a year. When we look at what administration makes up, that includes managing all communications through the city, maintaining public records, supporting the city's human resources.
Right, at 6:32, we're going to open up the public hearing on taxation, and the first person that we have, is there another list, Jolene, for, okay. If you did come in after we'd already had this sheet up, you're more than welcome to come up. The first one on the original list was Nadine Cederholm.
Good evening, thank you. We, of course, got our proposed taxes for next year. And I guess our question would be, who really figures the value of our home and who decides on it?
Yes.
It would be for 27.
Yes, taxes payable in
Okay.
27.
So when, okay, I understand that, but, so I missed the time frame on this, for this coming year, per
Yes.
se.
Yes.
Okay. It's just that there's a couple, in our neighborhood, it's really diverse. We have newer homes, older homes, and across the years, we have one of the oldest homes. It's gonna be 100 years old next year. But there's a new house that has the value is a lot less and less taxes. So if we have an issue about this, then I need to wait till next year.
Till April, that would be
April of-
reflected on your 27 taxes.
Yeah, this coming April to talk.
31st of this month. That magic trick is performed because we can dip into another tax called the grants and clean water funds. And so a good deal of our monies we put into in the plan, our water management plan project. We tax for that project, and we also apply for a grant for it if it qualifies. And we receive the grant money, we kind of have a surplus. An example of this would be the funds that we granted to the city of Forest Lake for the west side of Clear Lake. And that took many, many years. And of course, that money had been taxed some years ago, sat in the bank, and we collect a little interest. But this year, we'll have no increase in our taxes.
Budget for park dedication. At that time, it was different mayor, previous mayor. But I asked at the budget meeting, where's a $500,000 for park dedication? And they said, well, it's in the 10-year plan. I looked on the internet. I looked on our Forest Lake website. Could not find that plan. Last year, we had $350,000, does that sound right, as park dedication? And now this proposal for the next year is $415,000? That's $1.2 million for a park dedication I still can't find. That's a lot of money. And, you know, we're all pretty much working class from this area. That's a lot of money. And that's just for a park dedication. On top of that, according to the graph that was on the TV earlier, our population's gone up 1,008, something like that. It's not a whole lot more than it was 2 years ago. But we're talking about a $3.5–4 million increase and that doesn't include the proposal for new public works building that was possibly $50 million, 4 times our annual budget. You guys are spending money like the trees on Broadway. They look great, but they're gonna die just like the ones before them did because they get salt on them every winter. That was an $800,000 total project. You guys are spending our money so fast, and sometimes you gotta. The cost of taking care of our police officers, our fire department, the equipment, I understand that. Those are expenses we don't like to pay, but we all understand them, we can get behind that. But you guys are just what's $1.2 million gonna do for another park? I just heard 23 parks. That's just gonna increase more of our expenditures to keep maintaining another park. I still don't know where it is. Can any of you tell me where the next park that's gonna be dedicated is going?
Well,
So-
Mr. Mayor,
yeah, go
it's not for a new park, it's to maintain our current parks. Previous to what you saw, the budget a couple years ago, previous councils hadn't funded parks.
I specifically remember that parks was part of the budget. That was a separate item.
Might have been to the tune of like 50,000, 3-4 years ago. It's been years, if not decades, of not being properly funded. And so, while it was proposed 2 years ago to be 500,000, that was one of the line items that we cut back at that point in time to not have as big a levy increase at that time. And so it's been inching upwards because we got a backlog of park equipment that is outdated, broken, in desperate need of replacement. Their shelf life is like 20 years, and many of our parks are at that shelf life.
All right.
Yeah,
I appreciate that explanation.
absolutely.
So next up, where's the rest of that money going? I mean, I saw there was, we were hoping to get a new police sergeant.
We're having spikes in tax levies.
Good point, thanks for pointing that out. All right, anyone else would like to speak this evening?
A lot of people, matter of fact, I'll even direct it a little bit to Blake. I've got people around me that have voted for you for mayor as opposed to the previous mayor because of your willingness to hold down expenditure increases. But we're in fact seeing, increases. And I would have hoped that we would have seen a little bit closer to inflation rather than what we're seeing now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to come up tonight to speak on the budget? All right, one last time, anyone else like to come speak on the 2026 budget? With no one else coming forward, I will close the public hearing at 7 o'clock, and we'll bring it back to council. All right, council, we have a resolution in front of us for the 2026 tax levy. Any comments, or anyone want to share some thoughts? I appreciate, Ellie, the time that you put into this and explaining everything to everyone, and Mark as well, and all the department heads, really.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I guess I would like to add just a few comments. Ellie, staff, Mark, everybody in the city has worked very, very hard for all of you and for all of us to do the best we can to keep our taxes in line with what's going on in our state and other cities and counties in our state. The average in the state of Minnesota right now for tax increases is over 8.9%. When we went into this, we were pretty high, but we had to set our high level and we had to work backwards to cut as many things as we can to get our taxes down as low as we possibly can. None of us want to pay higher taxes either. We all live in this city, but to 7.9% is an incredible feat in order to provide all of you with all the services you deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. Any other comments? I'll just add a few things here. It did start, the 10-year plan called out for it to be at 16.4%. We set that high mark levy at 12.59%. We continue to push back on things, cutting things, to get it down to 9.25, and then to ultimately where we're at today at 7.9. Councilmember Miller made a lot of good comments, and I agree with him. There is infrastructure in this city. So there's some pipe that we have to replace here in the next year or two that we're already putting money towards. That's 100 years old. Forest Lake is a very conservative community, and we want to keep it that way, but we also need to start spending some money on things that we should have done a number of years ago. North Shore, we finally did $4.5 million. That road probably should have been done 7 years ago, and it probably would have been a third of that cost or 2/3 of that cost. And so this council and the previous council has done a nice job of trying to keep everyone's taxes reasonable enough, but yet investing in the community. It's, you know, in business or anything else, you have to spend money to make money. And when I say make money on the city side of things, it's bringing more people to the community, more businesses. And so with that, I was amazed about this number. It's $300-some thousand. Out of that 300-some thousand, in history, and I don't know really who to ask here because we're all relatively new staff, is like what, you know, if it was about the same last year, are we still working on trying to collect these, or once they're assessed to the property, is collection then stop? It does.
Correct.
It does.
I would say when my staff originally sent out the letters, the number was closer to $500,000. And so the effort staff is making at our utility billing level did bring in additional probably $100,000 to $200,000 that did not have to be assessed.